My name is Sara Smith-Silverman. My pronouns are she and they. I'm a professor of history at American River College, and today's date is Tuesday, October 24th, 2023. So let's start off by establishing the basics. What's your full name? What are your pronouns? And what's your date of birth?
My name is Soledad Girasol Mendez Razo. My pronouns are she, her, they, them, and its. And I was born February 24th, 2004.
So tell me a little about yourself. What are your interests and hobbies? What do you like to do?
Normally, I like to play video games and read books. I've also lately been getting into makeup. I really like playing with it. It's like it makes me feel like my face is like its own canvas, and I can like express myself however I want.
So you said that you like to read books and play video games. What kind of books do you like to read?
Lately, since realizing my queerness, I've really been getting interested in reading queer books about queer topics. That's basically all I want to read now, because after suppressing my queerness, I guess I just want to be surrounded by queerness all the time.
Any book that you really like that you want to share?
I really like They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. It's a really beautiful book about these two men who get together and the themes of grief and loss. It's such a beautiful book.
And any video games in particular that you like?
Lately, I haven't been playing much, but I really like The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. It's a really fun game.
Okay, anything else you want to say about your interests and hobbies? What do you like to do in your free time, if you have free time?
Oh, I also like to crochet, but I haven't been doing that much recently.
Do you crochet blankets? That's the first thing that occurred to me.
Yeah, I crocheted one, and then just one. Mostly I crochet like plushies, or like if I do crochet, it's for gifts for my friends.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so where did you grow up and where do you live now?
So I grew up here in Sacramento, California, and I live here in Sacramento, California.
Where do you currently attend college and what do you study?
I'm enrolled in Cosumnes River College, and I'm in pre-health. I'm hoping to get into the vet tech program, although I might change that.
What are you thinking of changing it to?
I'm planning on majoring in animal science and then transferring to a 4-year university or college.
And what makes you want to study animal science? Why are you interested in animal science?
I've been surrounded by animals basically all my life. My father liked to raise them in the previous house that we lived in. He raised rabbits and pigeons and chickens. I really liked interacting with them. And in high school, I was in the FFA Future Farmers of America program. And there I raised rabbits as well. I guess like animals don't really discriminate against you. They don't really care about superficial stuff. They just like people, and they will like you if you treat them well.
Are you a full-time student?
I am.
Do you take classes online or in person or some combo?
Both online and in person.
Do you have a preference?
I like in-person classes more because I get to interact with everyone, the teacher, the professors, students. And I just really like the classroom environment and the community in there. It's much more preferable than online classes, for me at least.
Do you feel like you do better in in-person classes?
Definitely. I feel like it gives me like a schedule and like I really like structure. And with online classes, if you're not like required to do like a video stuff like Zoom, then like I guess like there's not that much structure aside from like due dates. And I just prefer structure with the structure of online. I mean, the structure of in-person classes rather than the structure of online classes.
Do you think for in-person classes you feel more more of an obligation to be on top of your work as well?
Yeah, that's why I prefer them more than online classes.
Okay, so can you tell me about about how you identify with regard to your social identities, broadly speaking? So that's a big one: race, ethnicity, sexuality, gender, disabilities, neurodiversity, religion, class, and so on. And if you forget any of those, I will follow up by asking you about each one individually.
So I'm Mexican American / Chicana. I was raised in a lower middle class environment, and I am a transgender, non-binary, bisexual woman.
Do you have any disabilities, any neurodiversity?
I don't have any disabilities. However, with neurodiversity, I guess there's some like traits about myself that I think make me neurodiverse. However, I just don't want to claim that, as I haven't like gotten any diagnosis or something like that.
And then, are you religious?
I am not. I guess like atheist would be the term, but like I just say like I'm not religious.
So you mentioned that you are bisexual with regards to your sexual orientation. What does that mean to you personally to be bisexual?
To me, it means that I am capable of being attracted to anyone regardless of gender. However, some people say view that as pansexual. At one point, I did identify as pansexual. However, I really like the history of the term bisexual in terms of like political activism and I guess like the bisexual community in history. So I guess like pansexual, bisexual, but I really like bisexual as a term.
That's nice. I haven't heard students talk about the history of bisexuality and bisexual activism. Anything else you want to say about your sexual orientation?
I guess I have been questioning if I might be asexual as well. There's this quote that I really like from this YouTuber called ContraPoints that like bodies don't like, it sparks her interest, but it doesn't light her fire. I guess I like identify with that because like I might like look at someone and think they're attractive, but like I don't really know the person. So that makes me think that I might be asexual or like on the asexual spectrum.
What do you think if you had to define what it means to be asexual or on the asexual spectrum, how would you define that?
From what I have seen, I think asexual means like you have little to no sexual attraction towards people, but you might have like romantic attraction towards people. So like you can find someone like you really like, but you don't like really care for like bodies, I guess.
And I think you said you're non-binary and you identify as a trans woman. What does it mean? What does that mean to you to be both non-binary and to identify as a trans woman?
I guess I've always known that like I was trans. I just didn't know how to put it into words as a child. When I was 8, I told one of my cousins that I wish I was born as a girl. And my feelings were kind of dismissed because she told me like God made you this way, so there must be a reason. For a lot of trans people, I guess like you can't really explain why you're a woman or a man or non-binary. You just know you are. And I kind of feel that way. And in regards to being non-binary, I don't want to say like I don't feel like a complete woman, but I feel like I'm a woman. And like I kind of wish there was like a world we could live in where gender doesn't matter and like we're seen more as people rather than our gender or like any other social identification, I guess. That's why I identify as non-binary. More specifically, agender or genderless.
What does it mean to be agender?
It means a person who is genderless. And I actually identified that way previously before I realized I was a trans woman. And then I still hold on to that identity, even though I identify also as a trans woman.
How long have you known that you're a trans woman?
Pretty much my whole life, but like since I was 8 years old, that's when I remember like that core memory of me saying that I wish I was a girl. But I am one. I was one. I just didn't know how to like express myself.
So growing up, what did it feel like to be trans and not have the language or be able to identify that way upon reflection?
So I was brought up in a Catholic environment. My family's Catholic, and I've got made fun of a lot by my my family, more specifically my cousins and my brother, because of the way like kind of presented. I didn't really present myself in a like traditional masculine way. That kind of like made me feel scared to express myself, so I just kind of like subconsciously like shoved that to the back of my head.
When you say you didn't express yourself in a traditionally masculine way, how did you express yourself?
I guess in a more feminine way than like what boys were supposed to express themselves. Like I'm a very emotional person, and and I still like cry a lot. And then there's also this one memory I have. I think it was like Easter. I was like around the same age, 8 years old, and I remember I posed like this, something like this, and then like my mom told me to not pose like that, and then that's like another core memory that I have in my queerness, I guess.
Were there people around you who identified as queer or trans growing up?
I had this one cousin. He was gay, but he didn't really express himself around our family. Um, I recently tried reconnecting with him because I just kind of knew that he might be queer, and then like I kind of like saw his Instagram profile, and then I tried to like reach out.
Do you think it can be hard to? Do you think it's hard to kind of come out as queer or trans? Um, well, I guess actually, let me back up and ask this question. So how would you distinguish trans femininity from cis femininity, if you would? Very philosophical question.
I feel like in regards to trans femininity, um, us trans women or like trans feminine people, we kind of have to like construct that by ourselves in spite of like society telling us that like it's bad or like immoral or like disgusting basically. And like I guess like in cis femininity there isn't that much backlash from you expressing in a feminine way. But there's still like backlash being a woman regardless if you're cis or trans. I feel like it's just more heightened if you're trans because you were supposed to be a man or a boy, and like that um define that is like seen as really bad, I guess.
Do you think, as somebody who's a trans woman, your gender is more policed by people around you?
I definitely feel that way. um like even though like for instance my family knows that like I do makeup. My mom was really nosy, and then she looked through my drawers or something, and she found makeup. Even though they know that, and they're like kind of okay with that, I just don't wear makeup in the house because like I just don't want to deal with their commentary, and I don't want to look at their faces of disgust, I guess. And then like even though I go out in public and like I don't really get that much backlash expressing myself in a feminine way. I just don't really let my hair down like this in public, I guess. That much. And I guess the bullying that I got in middle school and elementary still kind of affects me.
Yeah, are you when you're out in public, are you afraid of how people are going to react?
Yes and no. Yes, cause what if someone acts violently, but I know how to defend myself, and I don't really go out in public that much, and I guess Sacramento's more liberal than the rural areas, and I'm less afraid of being in public and being feminine than I am being with my family and being feminine. So I actually like being in public and expressing myself more.
Why do you think that is? That you feel more comfortable in public than with your family?
I guess the bullying that I got from my family. I just don't want to deal with the commentary and their expectations of what I should be like. I don't want to deal with that. And in public there's no nobody knows you unless they know you. They don't there's not really expectations other than I don't know, you just don't act crazy, I guess. And in public, I don't see anyone that I know that's related with my family. So it's more comforting or freeing, I guess.
So can you talk a little bit about your pronouns? Why is it important for you to use the pronouns that you use?
So with she, her, I like them because when a person uses she, her for someone, then most people assume that person's a woman. So when people use she, her with me, it makes me feel more comfortable. And I also like they, them because it's gender neutral and yeah, it's gender neutral. And then it's I like it because of the simplicity. It's just, where's that person? Oh, it's over there. And is this their water bottle? Or where's their water bottle? Oh, it's right there. You know? I guess I just like the simplicity of it. Its pronouns. There isn't that much to it.
I think more students are using its pronouns than I understood before actually conducting this interview project. And I think I wonder if people who are not queer, not trans, have a hard time understanding the use of it's because it's also can be used. Those are pronouns that can be used in a derogatory way as well as a way to insult people. Um, so, I mean, is there something that you want to say about why it feels right and also can feel good? And yeah, and under what circumstances do you feel like you share your pronouns, including the it's?
Normally, I just say she, they when asked what my pronouns are. Because, I don't know, it's like kind of new, I guess. And like, I don't expect people to know like how to use them. And I've seen some people like enjoy its pronouns as a way to like reclaim or kind of like, I guess, like reclaim the dehumanization that people have faced in regards to like calling someone an it. And for me, I just like the simplicity and like, and for other people, it might feel right because like it's gender neutral. Like they, them, it's is also gender neutral.
So under what circumstances do you tell people your pronouns?
If I know like it's a safe environment for queer people, or like if I'm asked, then I'll gladly share my pronouns. Normally, I just don't say my pronouns, cause I don't know. I guess there's like negative stereotypes surrounding like trans people and like people who share their pronouns.
So can you talk about your coming out experience? Basically, what was the process like of figuring your identities out? And I guess, yeah, just start there. Start there. What was the process like of figuring your identities out?
I feel like a lot of people, they realized they were queer when it was like during the pandemic. And at first, I guess like I realized at first I identified as a bisexual man, because like I was still like subconsciously shoving down my transness in the back of my mind. And then I identified as a pansexual man. That's when I came out to my friends, and they were really supportive, and I was like really glad. And then I guess I didn't really like the being identified as a man or being seen as a man or a boy. It didn't really feel right. So then I started identifying as non-binary gender. And then I like stopped subconsciously shoving my trans femininity back in my mind. And I guess around 2021, 2022, that's when I realized I was a trans woman. And like, then I came out again, but like, it was more easy for me to like realize I was a trans woman than it was realizing I was a bisexual man. Cause like, there's like a lot of, bullying you receive if, someone perceives you to be like a queer man, or like queer in general.
What do you think it was about the pandemic that helped you? You're not the first person to say that.
I guess people are more alone, were more alone in their thoughts, and they were kind of realizing stuff about themselves that they might have not had the time to realize. And the pandemic kind of gave them that time.
Did you find that friends were helpful? Did you find resources online that were helpful? Or was it mainly self-reflection or some combination?
There was this TED Talk that I watched on YouTube that helped me realize I was bisexual. I forgot who gave it, but I think the title was The Invisible Letter B. And that kind of helped me accept that I was bisexual. And a lot of my friends were really, basically all my friends were really accepting. And I'm really glad for that.
Do you have, are your friends queer?
Basically, all of them. There's this joke that I make that like we're like magnets, I guess. In the like we kind of like find each other. Majority of my friends are queer. Yeah.
Yeah, other students have said something similar. Even before they knew that they were queer, they were basically like magnets attracted to each other, and they sort of helped each other figure out who they were as well. So are you out to everybody, or are you only out to some people?
I'm out to everybody except my family. Except there's some family members that I know are queer, so I'm out to them. Like, I have this one cousin who's gay, and then I have another cousin who's bisexual as well.
And do you live at home?
I do.
Is part of why you're not out to family? I know you already explained that some, but are you concerned? Are you concerned about rejection? Are you concerned about being able to continue to live at home? Does that play a part?
I don't fear being kicked out because I know my parents aren't like that. And like I just don't want to deal with their commentary and like their expectations. So I just don't tell them. They know I do makeup. Like when my mom found out, she was like, I guess trying to get me to come out because she was like, after the like lecture she gave me about how wrong it was for me to do it, she was like, is there anything else you want to tell me? And I said no.
Yeah, being told how wrong it is doesn't inspire one to then come out. So do you think your family has expectations around femininity and masculinity that you find difficult to navigate?
Yeah. I guess like just comments about like the way I dress and like my body. I don't really like those. And I guess like the kind of way like the men in my family express themselves, so I just don't feel like right expressing myself that way. And I guess like in all societies that are like not really accepting towards queer people, there's like this expectation generally like you must get married and like have 2.5 kids and a dog. And that doesn't really feel right for me.
So what does it feel like emotionally to have figured out your identities? Do you feel happy?
I do. It yeah, I'm just glad that I'm not like in the position I was back then, just I guess censoring myself just to appease other people.
Do you feel like you're undergoing a process of kind of like uncensoring? I don't know how to phrase that question, but it seems like if you were so used to censoring yourself, it sort of must be kind of a process of, to stop doing that, and that might be difficult.
Yeah. I guess I used to be so afraid of saying like words like gay or like yeah, gay or queer or like any other words like that, cuz I knew whenever I heard those words, like I was kind of like expecting like I guess like backlash or like commentary from like people who are like anti-queer. Like now, and like when I used to say those words, I used to like get like all shaky, I guess, and like nervous. But like now I don't feel that way as much.
So, what do you love so far? What do you love the most about being queer?
I like the diversity, I guess, in the community because like not one queer person, I guess, is like the same, and like we all get to like express ourselves in different ways, and it's an okay thing to do, I guess. Like you don't really get backlash for expressing yourself one way or a different way generally.
And this is sort of a related question, but where do you find queer joy?
In myself and like with other people, like with my friends or like the family members that are queer. Like I really like being around them because like we get to share that experience, and then like there's not like expectations of how you should present.
And so far, what do you find to be the most challenging?
I guess like trying not to like censor myself just to appease other people, but like at the same time like I do it around my family because like I just don't want to deal with their commentary. It's not like that I hate being queer. It's more like I just don't want to deal with like the anti-queer commentary, I guess.
Does not being out to family, does it feel like you are distancing yourself emotionally and sort of creating distance in your relationships with family members? Or not that you're creating it, but do you feel like that exists? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. Because like it feels like I'm not sharing myself my part of myself with them, and like I wish I could share all parts of myself without them like reacting in a negative way.
So my next question is about religion. I know you said you don't identify as religious, but did you grow up? Did religion play a role in your life growing up, and what do you think that role was? How did that shape your life?
So I was raised Catholic, as my family members are Catholic, and they've enrolled me in catechism, like Saturday school, and like that's when like I guess the teachings of how being queer is like viewed as a sin. That's when I guess like I put a lot of shame towards myself for being attracted to like men and expressing, I guess, being feminine. Yes, I really didn't like that I was attracted to men while I was in that Saturday school. And once I like fully completed it, once I got like my confirmation, after I got it, I was like more distanced from like the church and like that Saturday school. And that's when I had like that's when like I started questioning my belief in God. And then I didn't feel like I was religious. That's when I started identifying as an atheist. And then that kind of gave me the freedom to like feel no shame surrounding my queerness.
Anything else you want to say about the role that religion played in your life growing up, and as it relates to your queer identities?
Mm, not really.
Okay. The next section is about disability, neurodiversity, and mental health. So, do you have any mental health issues? And I know you said you think that you might be neurodiverse. Do you mind talking about those two topics? Well, I guess let's start off with neurodiversity. When you say you think you might be neurodiverse, why do you think that?
I remember like there was this study that like this connection between autism and like being trans. I found that like really interesting. And I know like that can be genetic. Like I know like one of my cousins is autistic, and then like my brother has said like he relates to my cousin because like when he just like relates to his cousin. So like I'm thinking maybe it might be genetic in regards to myself. And then there are some trans creators who like trans feminine creators and well trans creators in general in YouTube who are diagnosed with BPD, borderline personality disorder. And like I kind of relate to their experiences. This like really intense fear of abandonment and like I forgot what was the word that they used, but it was like viewing someone either in a really good way or in a really bad way. And then I guess like this idea of like having a favorite person, like I really relate to their experiences of being trans and having BPD. So that leads me to like question if I might be neurodiverse, but I don't really like claim that because like I haven't gotten like a diagnosis or something like that.
A lot of advocates, a lot of disability justice advocates, and who are autistic, talk about the power of self-diagnosis and how we should be able to self-diagnose and not rely on medical professionals to diagnose ourselves, for various reasons. One is, of course, it's hard to get a diagnosis as an adult. So when you think about your experiences, potentially with autism, I know you're not sure, but why do you think that you might be autistic? Is there what traits do you think that you have that lead you to think that maybe you're autistic?
Like I remember when I was a child or like even now like I really liked even numbers or like numbers that ended in 5 or 0. I was like really fixated on that. And then I don't know if this is like really specific towards autism, but I guess like when I wanted to like start my homework, I'm kind of like if the time didn't like start at an even number or like a number that ended in 5 or 0, like then I wouldn't like begin doing it or like yeah, and then like I'm still like unsure of like whether I'm autistic or not. Like I can't really think of like traits that come to my mind right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard question. Um, why do you think it is that there seems to be a higher, like, what do you think the connection is between autism and being queer, in general and maybe for yourself?
Going back to that study around being trans and being autistic, I feel like it might be like like if a person like tries to express their transness and then they're denied by society, then that kind of leads to like an inner conflict, and then that might lead to them being autistic. However, like I don't know if that's like really accurate, I guess.
Because how does I think autistic people often report that kind of social norms around gender are harder to adopt. That there's a more of a flexibility about how we like think about gender. Um, so I guess that is sort of related to maybe being autistic, but how does gender feel to you? So that's a hard question to answer. I don't know.
kind of hard to answer, but like I don't know how gender feels, but it's like I guess people use that analogy with the sweater, and like if it's itchy, then like it must not be right. And like I guess once you find the sweater that's like not itchy, then like that's the one you should go for, I guess.
So, do you think maybe being neurodivergent has impacted your education at all?
Yeah. Like I have a harder time like focusing, and like I get like really distracted easily. Like once like some time passes in like the class, like at first like I'm really focused, but then like let's say like an hour later, then like I'm kind of getting more and more distracted, I guess.
I talk about overlap between ADHD and like often people who are autistic also have ADHD. Is that something you thought about for yourself?
Yeah. I've seen like videos on that topic, like people who have autism and ADHD kind of like have like more of a struggle within themselves because like they kind of like clash with each other, I guess.
What kind of accommodations do you think your professors can provide to you and other neurodivergent students? Or what kind of accommodations have you felt like you've needed, I guess? You could also just think about support, maybe. It's not just about accommodations, but also how can faculty do a better job supporting, in general, neurodivergent students?
I don't know what specific accommodations because like my maybe neurodivergence is like something that like I've been questioning really recently, so I'm not like really fully educated, but like for myself I really like being in front of the class because I feel like more of an obligation to do my work.
Not being in like the first row or the second row or something.
Yeah. And it's also much easier to see, I guess.
Yeah, not get as distracted when you're in front. So just to wrap up that previous section, you mentioned potentially having BPD. Do you have mental health issues that you feel comfortable discussing, especially as they might have impacted your education or might be continuing to impact your education?
I guess like depression, I guess. And like that kind of like makes it hard for me to like do my schoolwork or like work like that. But like other than that, like I can like I haven't had it like really impact my college career, I guess. So it doesn't really impact me that much.
Does it sometimes feel hard to motivate to do schoolwork?
Yeah.
Have you struggled in your classes at all?
Mostly my online ones. Because, like, I keep forgetting, like, the due dates. And then, like, recently, like, with some of my in-person classes, because, like, recently, I had to, take on more shifts, because, like, two people in my position were fired. So that kind of, like, negatively impacted my classes a bit.
Can you talk about where you work?
I work at El Pollo Loco as a cook, or as they call it, a grill master.
How much, if you don't mind my asking, how well what do they pay you?
$16.50 an hour, I think.
Have you been working there for a while?
Yeah, since November or December of last year.
So nearly a year.
Yeah,
And how many hours a week did you work before these two people were fired? And how many hours do you have to work now?
I worked like 3 days a week, so that was like around 24 hours a week because they're like 8 hour, 8 hour shifts. And then last week I had to work 5 days, so that was like 40 hours a week.
While being in school full time.
Yeah.
How do you manage? That seems impossible to manage. How have you managed it so far, and do you see an end in sight?
I can't really focus in my house, so like I try to like go to like a cafe or something like that, like a library. I really like going to a seat at the table books.
Ooh, that's a great bookstore.
Yeah, they're also queer owned, I think, and yeah, I like going there because like it helps me like focus.
Is that near you? A seat at the table?
A bit far, because like I live like in Meadowview, and that's in like Elk Grove, but like I don't mind going that far because it's like really a really comfortable environment. Also, they have really good coffee.
Yeah, I think they're a kind of a political bookstore, right?
Yeah. And the coffee that they serve is also queer owned. It's Ink and Tree.
Oh, I didn't know that. And they have a nice like space to sit and do work as well. They have a coffee shop.
Yeah. It's a coffee shop / bookstore.
It's way out there in Elk Grove. And then, so how do you like working at El Pollo Loco?
I like it a lot because so a little bit of background. I used to work at La Esperanza. It's a Mexican bakery. I really liked working there because like I got to be surrounded by like other Mexican and Mexican American people, and as a Mexican American person myself, such a really comfortable environment to be in. Then I worked for like Dunkin' for like a 2 months, and then I left because like they kept reducing my hours. And then I guess I really missed that environment of being surrounded by other people who are like myself. So that's when I applied to El Pollo Loco. And like I really like being surrounded by other Mexican and Mexican American people. And it also helps with my Spanish.
Oh, did you grow up speaking Spanish?
Yeah, technically my first language, but I say that both English and Spanish are my first language because like I learned English when I was 4, and like after that I didn't really have a problem with speaking English.
Do you speak Spanish at home?
Yep,
Do your parents speak English?
they do, but it's not like I don't want to say like broken, but like I prefer speaking with them in Spanish because like it's more better for us.
And does being, you said being at Pollo Loco, it helps you, it helps your Spanish. So you speak to your coworkers, and do you also talk to the customers also in Spanish mainly? Or is it a mix?
So like most of my coworkers are like when I open, most of them are like only speak Spanish. So like I speak to them in Spanish, and my manager also speaks in Spanish and English. However, I just like speak to them in Spanish. And then like I don't really talk to customers as much because like I'm mainly on the grill. I only talk to them if like no one else is there coming to their help, and like they just ask like hablas español, and then I like talk to them in Spanish.
Um, are the customers who go to El Pollo Loco, are they mainly Spanish speaking, or is it a mix?
Mostly English speaking.
Mostly English speaking. Okay. Just curious because growing up, we went to El Pollo Loco a lot, and but it was my sister's father who was the one that did that, and he's from East LA, and he's Mexican and Bolivian actually. But so I haven't been to El Pollo Loco up here, and I was wondering, yeah. So what is it like? Like, why do you? I know you said why you decided to get a job at El Pollo Loco, but why do you feel like you need to work, I guess, while going to school?
I like money, but also like I I like being independent, and like I pay for my classes, and like my family offers me financial support if I need it, but like I like that feeling of being somewhat independent, I guess. I like to buy like my own stuff without like relying on my parents.
And how old are you now? You're 19?
Yep, I'm 19. 19.
How long have you been working?
Since I was 17, 18, that's when I started working at the bakery.
And are you trying to save up money? Are you able to save up money?
I have. I guess nothing in particular but I've just saved it up. Just like, I guess it's like good to save up money, I guess. I have around 2,300 in my savings.
So what is it like being queer at El Pollo Loco?
It's really interesting because like at first, like when I got the job, I didn't want to say that I was queer just because like I wanted to like gauge the environment, I guess. And like there's protections for like trans people in California, so like I wasn't getting like scared over like being fired for being trans because like that's probably not mostly not gonna happen. But like I guess with some places I've interviewed, I've like disclosed that I was trans, and then like I never got a call back. But like again, I don't know if that was like because they were transphobic or because like maybe they just forgot or maybe they just like were really busy or like maybe they found a better candidate. But like I would have appreciated callback saying like I was denied or something like that. Cause like now I kind of like have this like anxiety disclosing my transness, I guess, towards employers. And then there was a person in my English class when I was working at El Pollo Loco. She was also working at the same place. So I said my name was dead name towards to my manager, and then she looked at me and said, "Oh, isn't your name Soledad?" And then that's I kind of got outed, and oh, like that's when I took advantage of like I was saying that I was trans and like I prefer being called Sol or Soledad, and then yeah, my coworkers who know I'm trans don't really misgender me. They call me she. But like some of them don't know I'm trans, so they misgender me. But I don't really care that much, cause like I'm already busy on the girl, so I don't really like have the time to like disclose my transness, and I don't really like care for that. I guess while I'm working,
Is it busy at El Pollo Loco, or are you just constantly working?
it's more busy on the weekends, and like on like during like lunch hour, I guess. But like aside from like those times and days, it's not really that busy.
Do you have any queer coworkers? No, if you feel comfortable talking about that. I guess you don't have to be specific.
None that I know of.
It can be hard because sometimes at work you might there might be queer coworkers, but you're all kind of thinking the same thing. Like maybe you're not going to come out because you don't know if other people are queer or if it's safe or whatever. But then you don't find each other. So you're working 40 hours per week now. And how has that interfered with your ability to attend class and get your work done?
So I worked 40 hours last week. And then this week, last week I called my manager because like I told her I couldn't work on Tuesdays anymore. I didn't really tell her why. I just like, told her this is my new schedule for the next week. And then now I'm just working 4 days, so that's like 32 hours this week. Last week I was more impacted because like I kind of like didn't do certain assignments except for like the more important ones like projects or like essays. And I guess I'm like really glad that like some of my teachers are more lenient and more willing to grade late assignments, and I'm really glad for that.
Do you feel comfortable asking your professors for extensions so that you can get work in late?
Yeah. Only some of them if I know that they're gonna be okay with that.
And some professors you feel like might be more strict and you're hesitant to ask them?
Yeah.
Are your So do you have an end in sight? I know you said you're working fewer hours this week, which is good, but it sounds like it's still probably more hours than you want. Do you think there's an end in sight to this working more hours than you would like to?
My manager, she recently hired two new people who are going to work on the grill. So I'm expecting like for this to be like more easier, I guess, on myself and trying to like navigate schoolwork.
Yeah, didn't you have? Aren't we around midterms?
Yeah,
Is that so? Working so many hours has that impacted your midterms? Have you had big exams or big assignments due?
just one in my chemistry class. I kind of didn't do so well on that one, but like it's fine because like it's like four exams throughout the semester, and like he drops like the one that you did the worst in basically. So like I'm just like gonna get back into it and like hopefully I do great in the two other exams.
It's hard if you're working a job and then unexpectedly your hours are increased. It's good to have that kind of policy where one of the low scores is dropped, right? So maybe that's something other faculty can consider. I mean, there are various things that happen in student lives, but one of them is suddenly you have to work 40 hours a week or 32 hours a week or whatever it is. So do you have any concerns about your financial well-being in the present and also in the future?
In the present, not right now, because like I'm working more hours, so I'm earning more. And I live with my parents, so like I'm not really concerned with that in the future, I guess.
What about after you finished up with college?
I don't know. Um, I guess like I don't really see into the future that much. I don't know if that's bad. I'm more focused on like the present and like what I need to get done like now or like stuff like that in regards to like my schoolwork.
Do you get student loans?
I don't remember the name, but like it helps with your first 2 years in community college, I think.
Okay. So sort of like asking questions out of order here, but I think it's okay. Can you talk a little bit about your family's class background? You said that you would say lower middle class, right? Why do you say that?
Cause like we've always had to rent and like right now we're working towards building a house. So we don't have to like move around that much anymore. Also like taking a look at like my dad's background in particular. Cause like he grew up really poor and like comparing that to like, well, how I grew up, it's like more better than how he grew up. And then like I don't know, like certain stuff he tells me, like I remember he was like reminiscing about like our childhoods, and then like he said something like, I used to get you guys like chicken because like couldn't afford to like give you guys each a burrito like when we went to El Pollo Loco. Just like certain stuff I noticed like growing up.
Did your parents struggle economically or financially growing up when you were younger?
Maybe, but like when you're a child, I guess like your parents don't really tell you because they don't want you like to think things, I guess. To think that like you're like in a worse off position than you think you are in.
They don't want to create stress for you.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable talking about what your parents do for work?
Yeah. My mom is stay at home and she's also a Zumba instructor. And my dad, he works at an auto body shop.
Do you do Zumba?
I used to with my mom, but like not really anymore. I guess like I can remember, I don't know if it was an injury, but like I used to like have like these like pains in my foot. And that's when I like kind of like stopped.
Yeah, hard to do Zumba if your foot hurts. So I think you mentioned that your parents are immigrants, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about their experience immigrating to the U.S., why they immigrated? Are you also an immigrant yourself, or?
I'm not.
Okay.
I was born here, and so are the rest of my siblings. And then my parents, they're both from Guanajuato. Basically, all of my dad's siblings, except for like two of them, moved here because of, they tell me they wanted a better life for themselves and their children. Especially given like my dad's background in regards to like his family dynamic and like his financial struggle over there in Mexico. I remember he told me like he had to start working when he was like 12, so he couldn't really like finish his school career.
Wait, you said how old was he again?
12.
Oh, 12. He was young. And so they immigrated here for a better life.
Yeah. First it was my dad. And then I think I remember he came back to Mexico to marry my mom. And then they both immigrated together.
So, how do you think your experiences growing up are shaped by being from an immigrant family?
I guess like in general, it was kind of like hard to like relate to my peers who didn't come from immigrant backgrounds. Like cultural stuff, I guess. Like I guess like right now, people like make references to like certain media they might have consumed as a child that I might have not consumed as a child, so it's kind of like hard to like fit in, I guess. And then like other than that, like it wasn't that hard to like, cause like I always had like peers who were Mexican American or like came from immigrant backgrounds that I could relate to, so it wasn't that hard to like fit in, I guess.
How many siblings do you have?
I have two.
And where are you in the lineup in terms of age?
I'm the oldest.
Did you ever find that you had to translate for your parents or help them with paperwork and that sort of thing?
Yeah. I remember like aside from my parents, I remember one time I had to like one of my aunts wanted me to come to like I guess like this doctor was visiting or something. And like she wanted me to be there to like translate for her, so that was like kind of strange experience because like there's certain words that I couldn't really translate. And then like even now I have to like translate for my parents sometimes, but like they know some English, so it's like not that kind of hard. And it's kind of like funny looking back because like I would be like, I don't know how to say this word, and they would be like we would be like both kind of be like dumbfounded.
About how to say particular words. In
Yeah.
English or in Spanish? Or both? Well, maybe English.
Translating from English to Spanish,
Mhm.
and like sometimes I don't like know what this word means in English, so I can't really translate it to Spanish.
So, anything else that occurs to you about how your life was shaped by being from a Latino and family and immigrant family growing up, and anything about education in particular?
I remember I think I was like put into like ELA or like English language learners. Those memories are kind of foggy, but like for me, like looking back, it was kind of strange that they put me there. Cause like I feel like at least I didn't have no problem speaking English, but like I don't know.
Also, there was a little bit of like assumptions being made and in your education that were faulty assumptions.
Yeah, but like I'm still kind of like unsure if I did speak English well, cause like those memories are kind of foggy for me.
Oh yeah, because you were so young. Were you were like 5, 6?
Yeah.
How long were you in those classes for?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't really remember being 5. Okay, so have you experienced discrimination or harassment around being Mexican, around being an immigrant? Or has your family? Do you remember anything about how your family's experiences?
For myself, there's like was mostly microaggressions, like oh, you speak English so well, or like, where are you from, or like, yeah, mostly like microaggressions. And then like with the thing like with like discrimination of any kind when it's like personal, like one to one with a person, it's kind of hard to tell, like at least with American kind of discrimination, because like they might be like curious or like have no ill will, but like at the same time it's kind of like hard to like draw that line, I guess. And I don't really recall like in regards to my family or my parents if like any form of discrimination. Not to say that they haven't faced any. Maybe I just don't know of it. Maybe they just haven't shared it. Mostly because like we kind of like only surround ourselves with people who also speak Spanish, because like we kind of have to, so like they can understand.
What about just existing in U.S. society? Considering there's a lot of anti-immigrant rhetoric, and that often ends up being anti-brown specifically.
Yeah, just like a lot of rhetoric surrounding like immigrants, particularly like Mexican and Latino immigrants. It's kind of like at least from what I see in media, it's kind of like really frustrating, because then like people make like stereotypes and like say like where immigrants are like criminals, but like it's actually the opposite, because like they're less likely to commit crime from a certain study, and like citizens are like more likely to commit crime than like non-citizen undocumented like persons.
So the same politicians who are very anti-immigrant are also very anti-trans and anti-queer in general. I don't know what my question is, but I don't know how has that made you feel, I guess? How has that kind of affected you? The ways in which immigrants and Latinos in general and queer people have sort of been what do you call it? Like the kind of objects of political debate in a way to kind of by a lot of politicians.
I see like similarities like with regards to immigrants and like queer people, because we're both told that we're un-American, like in regards to like queer history and like the Lavender Scare. There's like this viewpoint that like all queer people are of national security, or like a threat to national security. And then there's also like this belief that like immigrants are also of national threat of national security. Hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting parallel.
Yeah.
Also, this idea of not being American.
Yeah.
It's sort of how American is defined. White, heterosexual, cis, middle class, right? So anything outside of that, that is sort of like un-American somehow. So how does being Mexican American shape your experiences being queer, and vice versa?
So there's this idea of machismo, right? Like basically what I guess like English speakers call like toxic masculinity, I guess. Like this idea like men have to like be in this like act in this like really masculine way, and then like I guess like in regards to my family, they're kind of like queer phobic, and like sometimes Mexican media can be like queer phobic, but I feel like that has gotten a little bit better. I remember there's this reality TV show. It's called Casa de los Famosos, I think, and one of the contestants was a trans woman. Her name is Wendy Guevara, and she won that contest, and it was like really impactful for me to see like so many people celebrate this Mexican woman winning this reality TV show. So I feel like it's gotten better, I guess, for queer people and trans people who are Mexican/Mexican American.
Anything else you want to say about that? How do you think your experiences being Chicana and queer trans, how they intersect, shape your life?
Recently, I've been following Mexican trans women social media content creators, and I really like the way they interact with each other. They're kind of like don't take themselves seriously, and they kind of like make jokes about each other, and I guess I like really like that because I don't know I guess I haven't been taken seriously in regards to like my femininity and my queerness. So I kind of like that we don't take ourselves seriously with each other, and I like kind of like that environment. I guess seeing other Mexican trans women/Latina trans women interact with each other.
So before moving on to the education section, I guess one question is, what do you love most about being Chicana?
The culture and the food. I really like the food and like the culture because there's like so much vibrant queer and Mexican culture. Certain historical figures Frida Kahlo. I think she's a bisexual woman, and then there's also like this trans man that I've learned from history during the Mexican Civil War, I think. He was like really open about him being a trans man, and like, yeah, I just like the culture and the history.
You don't remember his name, do you? I'm so curious.
I think his first name was Emilio, and then I forgot his last name.
Okay, so education. We're in the education section, so big question to start, but can you tell me about your educational journey from high school to the present?
I guess like part of like what motivates me to be into animal science was my experience in FFA in high school. And
Future Farmers of America.
yeah. And being part of FFA was really interesting because there's kind of this history of racism that even like when I was in my last years of it, I kind of saw it. Like in the types of people that like I would interact with, or like the I guess like the environment in general. Not the like chapter, but like the events that we would go to and interacting with other people who are not in our chapter.
Is the organization as a whole, is it mostly dominated by white people?
Yeah, it has that history because like it wouldn't allow black people or like anyone who wasn't white up until a certain year. And then the same goes for women.
They wouldn't allow women.
Yeah. It was only white women, white men. And then they allowed brown men. And then they allowed women. I forgot the years exactly when they changed their policies.
So how does racism play out in that organization when you go to those events?
I remember there's like this event for like all the chapters in California. We were gonna vote on this like certain contest. It was like if we would allow it to be also done in Spanish. And like one of my advisors told me like she heard like other advisors complaining about it. And like, oh, we don't need it in Spanish and stuff like that. And that looking back, that kind of made me uncomfortable. You know? Because like there's also chapters that are like dominated by like Hispanic students. So it's like kind of like upsetting to see that looking back, that there's like this kind of like rejection of like the Spanish language and like people who aren't white. Also, I remember like this like the national president making like Islamophobic remarks. I don't remember his name, but like that also made me uncomfortable.
It must be an organization that's a real mix politically, considering that a lot of agribusiness is kind of white owned, but a lot of people who actually do the cultivation and the picking are not white.
Yeah.
So did that shaped, you said it shaped your experiences, like you, from that you decided to be involved in or you got interested in animal science specifically?
Yeah.
So what was it like being Wait, were you out as queer in high school?
Yeah. From like 10th, no wait, 11th and 12th grade.
You must have been online a lot though.
Yeah.
Because you came out during the pandemic, and were you just totally online at that time?
Yeah.
So, what was your experience being queer in that context, I guess, in high school?
Being in online classes, I didn't really well, I didn't really interact with people physically, so like, I don't really have like that much to say about that. But like in person, uh, I remember like during my last few weeks in high school, it was on the news, like the Sacramento Bee, that someone wrote on one of the bathrooms saying like this really violent queer anti-queer remark.
At your high school?
Yeah. That kind of made me scared because like the only way I found out about that was from another trans student, and then a few of my teachers like said something about it, but like we didn't get an email from like the school or like an announcement. I would have appreciated like them like standing up for queer students, but like they didn't really say anything.
Wow, so it was in the news, but your school administrators didn't and staff didn't actually acknowledge it, at least publicly to students.
Yeah, aside from like a few teachers. It was like an article. It wasn't really like video, but it was an article.
What was the environment like for queer students? Was there a lot of homophobia and transphobia? Was there, like, how inclusive was your high school in general?
I went to Sheldon High School. There's a GSA, so, and like in my experience, it's been okay, but like sometimes when I would interact with certain staff, like I try to like get my like name change with my counselor, and that was like kind of weird because like he misgendered me when I tried to like reach out and like I stated my transness.
You told your counselor that you were trans, and then he, after that, misgendered you.
Yeah.
So overall, maybe not so much awareness or understanding of the trans experience.
Yeah.
Were there any good staff, any good faculty, or I guess teachers, who were either queer or clearly kind of welcoming and friendly towards queer students?
Both of my agricultural teachers, they're like really supportive, which is just really glad for me because like I got to express myself there without like this fear of getting backlash, I guess. Also, I really like that they were accepting because like there's a lot of queer people in FFA, at least the chapter that I was in, and that's kind of how I met my friends. And I'd say like pretty much most of the teachers are like accepting towards queer students. I don't know of any queer faculty. Yeah.
Why are there so many queer students in FFA? That's the first I've heard of that, but I guess I don't know that much about FFA.
I guess in the chapter that I'm in, at least, because our school is very diverse, I think Sheldon's like the fourth most diverse school in the nation. I could be wrong on that. And I guess, like I always said before, animals don't really care for like superficial stuff. So like maybe we're like attracted towards that.
There are also autistic students involved in FFA.
Neurodiverse, yes. I don't know if any specifically autistic students who were in FFA, but neurodiverse, most definitely.
I asked that because a lot of autistic students and other, youth in general, well, I guess people in general report or talk about kind of being interested in animals. In high school, did you take any classes that were queer or trans inclusive, like in terms of the topics covered?
I remember in 11th grade, there was this history class. I think it was U.S. history. He mentioned, our teacher mentioned stuff about the Lavender Scare and like the Stonewall riots. It was like really brief queer history, and like I really like enjoyed that because like I haven't really learned about queer history up until that point, aside from like me trying to like research. And like I think in my health class they also discussed like sexuality, but I don't remember most of it.
Other students have said something similar, that the only time queerness was brought up was in, what'd you say, it was like a section, what was the class? Human sexuality?
Health class?
Oh, health class. Yeah, I guess they don't usually have a class called human sexuality in high school. So why did you like that queer history was brought up in your history class? How did that make you feel?
Made me feel seen. Cause like I remember like when Mexican American or Mexican history wasn't mentioned in US history, I felt like left out in a way. Like it kind of made me hard to see myself in history, you know? It's like that's when that was mentioned, I felt like I felt less alone in a way.
So was Mexican, like, were your classes inclusive of Mexican American and Latino topics and people's experiences broadly at all?
I guess like I feel like the only time Mexican American or like Latino history in America was like discussed was when they brought up Cesar Chavez or like the protests that he had, and like that's the only time Mexican American history was brought up. It was kind of frustrating looking back because like I couldn't see myself in history if people never told me the history of like Mexican Americans.
What was the racial makeup of your school? Were there a lot of Latino students?
Yeah. Um, it's a really diverse school. So like a lot of different people from different backgrounds. I wouldn't say there was like a majority of one person of a racial group, but it was like all diverse.
And did your teachers reflect that diversity?
Like in terms of like history classes, I don't think they did that well.
I mean, were your teachers also people of color, immigrants, or were they disproportionately white?
I think so. Yeah, I don't think there's like majority white teachers. So yeah, it was different people from different backgrounds.
Um, what about in college? Have you had the experience of taking classes that are inclusive of queer and trans topics?
Yeah, I took ethnic studies with and I felt more seen in that class because they talked about Mexican American history and like fighting against segregation in California and like the East LA student walkouts. Um, that was like really impactful for me because like high school students they walked out because their curriculum didn't suit them well, as that they were only taught that they could only be laborers, and that's kind of like something that people who come from a Mexican background living in the United States, they're kind of like told by society or like through stereotypes. Like there's this stereotype of Mexicans being all landscape workers, and like my family, they did start off being landscapers or are still landscapers, but like we're not just that. We can do that, but like we can also do other things.
Yeah, and when your curriculum is racist in that it tracks Latino students specifically into manual labor, right? That's also um, clearly problematic. That was around the East LA blowouts. That was late 60s, right?
Yeah.
So why do you think it feels personally meaningful to you to have taken a class like ethnic studies that is actually inclusive of the Mexican American experience? Like, what does it mean to you?
It means a lot to me because like me being able to like go to school and like learn, like I know that that's from the efforts of those students who protested against their curriculum not being well suited for them. And like I kind of see like this narrative that we can only be like laborers being pushed towards like people in my family, those who are around my age specifically, and more specifically the men in my family. And like it's kind of like disheartening to see that because like if we weren't fed these stereotypes of like us only being laborers, then maybe they could do other things and like appreciate their education more, I guess.
Yeah, that kind of tracking is really influential on how people think of what's possible for themselves. It's interesting also to think, talking about the late 60s and now we're in 2023, 50 years later, we're getting more ethnic studies classes in the community colleges. The struggle is long, but it did start in that period. Did the ethnic studies talk about the queer experience at all?
Sometimes, like, they recognize that like queer people in the four core groups, the Native Americans, Latinos, Black Americans, and like Asian Americans, they like face more struggles and like intersectionality, stuff like that. Like intersectionality was brought up, and that was good, but it was more focused on the four core groups broadly, I guess.
And their experiences with race and ethnicity.
Yeah.
So what about other experiences taking courses that are inclusive of the queer experience specifically? What classes have you taken or are you taking?
I'm taking intro to LGBTQ history with at ARC online. And I'm taking LGBTQ literature online at CRC too. I really like those classes. However, with LGBTQ history, I kind of already learned the topics that are being discussed because I like to spend a lot of time online. So there's that. But like at the same time, it's an intro class. So like I guess it would be more beneficial if it was like if we were given that class in high school. Cause like in college I already know that stuff.
Is that the queer studies class you mean? But it also covers queer history.
It also covers queer history.
And so why does it feel important to you to take those two classes? Why is it important to offer those classes, this queer inclusive classes, or actually these classes that are focused on the queer experience?
I guess it's like really important for people, especially those who are not queer, to learn about the queer experience so that they aren't susceptible towards some stereotypes and like propaganda against queer people, especially now, given the current political climate and social climate. Also, like, it's even more beneficial for queer people because, like, basically a majority queer people are in those classes, and we kind of like have an environment to find each other, which is really good.
Are there non-queer people in those classes?
Yeah. However, it's majority like cishet women, and there's like some cishet men.
And do those courses talk about the queer Latinx experience?
Yeah. I think that's because the professors are also queer and Latinx. Yeah.
And how are you enjoying that? Does that feel meaningful to you to actually take these classes that are talking about these core pieces of your identity, parts of your identity? combined, not just separately.
Yeah. I feel like because like in the past I used to think that like these two identities would like clash against each other, but like they feel like more harmonious now, I guess.
What have you enjoyed so far about learning about a queer Latinx experience in those classes?
Like I could like really relate to them, to the people that were discussed particularly. I think I forgot her name, but like one author that we discussed was a lesbian Chicana author and poet. And I guess like learning about her experience with these two identities and also being from a working class background, it was like I could like relate to her more and like feel less alone.
Um, so you mentioned previously a while ago that you had been misgendered by a counselor in high school. What are your experiences generally being misgendered?
Most of the time I get misgendered because of the way I look. People assume that I'm a man, so they use he him pronouns or refer to me with masculine honorifics like sir. It's kind of frustrating, but like I don't really care that much, I guess, because like they don't know. Also, like I I kind of don't want to like say, oh, it's miss actually, or oh, it is ma'am, because like there's that stereotype of trans people being so easily upset, and also like it's ma'am was like kind of a meme, I guess, that was made fun of because a trans woman in a GameStop like got upset that she was getting misgendered, and like that kind of became a whole thing. So that leaves me like hesitant to like disclose my trans identity.
So when you have experience being misgendered, what does it felt like, or what does it feel like generally to be misgendered?
Generally, it just feels really uncomfortable, but at the same time, like it's like whatever, you know. But like at the same time, like it's still uncomfortable, but at the same time, whatever.
Do you think that whatever response is in part because why do you think that whatever response comes from? I mean, you identify as agender as well, right? So is that part of it, or what's going on there? Do you think?
I definitely feel that's part of it, cause like I guess like me identifying as agender as well leads me to have like a whatever response to when I'm being misgendered, I guess.
So what do you think professors and other people, not just professors, but what do you think professors can do to be better at learning students' pronouns and not making mistakes?
I think like asking for a student's pronouns, but like not just like a particular student, but like everyone. So like the English professor that that I'm taking her course in right now, she asked us for all her students' pronouns, and that really made me comfortable because like she wasn't like focused on going around in the room like, what's your pronouns? What's your pronouns? She just gave us like a name tag, and then we put our name and then our pronouns.
Did she also share her pronouns?
I think so, but I don't remember. But like, also sharing one's pronouns is really beneficial too.
So what do you think faculty can do in general to make queer and trans students, maybe even particularly queer and trans students of color, feel respected in the classroom?
I guess like not using honorifics like sir, ma'am. Like I get that like that's considered polite and the polite thing to do, but like it's also kind of rude because you're just kind of like assuming that someone's gonna be okay with being called sir or ma'am. And like generally, I just don't like honorifics. I feel like it's too formal, I guess.
So not assuming gender by using gendered honorifics. Anything else you can think of that you think faculty can do to make queer and trans students of color feel respected in the classroom?
Can't really think of much right now in regards to that question.
Well, we can always come back to it if you think of anything. So I think you're mainly at CRC, right? Do you think, what's my question actually? What do you think the college could do to make trans and queer students feel more included on campus?
In my experience, like I try to use the gender neutral restrooms because I feel most comfortable in them. But whenever I try to go into them, they're always locked. I don't know if there's any reason for that. But like, I wish they were like unlocked. Because like, I feel like that would make myself and like other queer and trans students more comfortable in the college.
It's pretty basic. Unlock the gender neutral bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why they're locked. That happened at ARC too. There was an issue with that.
Here too.
At
I
SEC?
tried to go into the gender neutral restrooms and they were also locked.
Well, that indicates something, right? About the investment of the colleges in like really actually making sure that queer and trans students feel totally comfortable and have access to basic things like bathrooms. Also, disabled students often need those kind of single stall all gender bathrooms. Is there anything else you can think of that the college could do better to make queer and trans students feel more included? Actually, sorry. Why is it important for you? Do you mind talking more about this? Why is it important to have access to all gender bathrooms that are unlocked on campus?
There's this like kind of distress that me and other trans students and non-binary students feel in particular when coming across gendered restrooms. Like, I generally use the men's restroom because I've been used to it my whole life, basically. And I just don't want to deal with maybe being harassed in either restroom. I haven't experienced that yet. So that's good. And yeah, it just alleviates that stress of deciding which restroom to use. So that's why it's important to have gender neutral restrooms.
Have you ever avoided using the bathroom if you can't find a gender neutral bathroom?
No. I don't. That's bad for my body, so.
That's good. Good that you're paying attention to your needs. I know that some trans people report just avoiding the bathroom if they can't find an all-gender bathroom where they could feel totally safe and comfortable. What do you think the college could do to make queer students of color feel more included and welcome?
I remember there's this event in CRC. I think it was a queer person of color. They did this event surrounding the queer and POC experience, and like going to that event was just like really comfortable to be in, and yeah, just like spaces for a queer POC to be in, I guess, because like sometimes I might not relate to the broader LGBTQ community.
Do you find that sometimes spaces for queer people can be too white?
Yeah.
And sometimes do you feel like, how does that make you feel being in those spaces that are too white?
I don't want to say like it makes me feel not included, but it's like I don't know, it makes me question if there's a reason why there aren't any queer people of color in that space, you know?
Okay, for the sake of not keeping you here forever, one final question and then a wrap-up question. So, how important is community for your sense of well-being in college, and how do you find community? Or where do you find community?
Community is like really important, I guess, for everyone, because humans are social animals. And like in general, like I try to find community when there's like events being hosted by like Mi Casa or the Pride Center. That's when I get to feel like less alone, I guess. Like I recently went to an event about this queer Filipino author. And yeah, it made me feel less alone as there were like other queer POC students there.
Do you remember what the name of the author was? Sorry to test you.
Uh, I don't know. I think Ocampo was his last name. I might be wrong. But like, oh, I remember the title of his book though. It was Brown and Gay in LA.
Okay, so maybe we should wrap up. And is there anything else you'd like to add that you haven't gotten a chance to say, or questions you'd like to return to?
I guess I would like to add on to my experience in FFA because there was also like class disparities because the students who got to participate who were white were also like very well off, and like if you were more well off then you got like more resources and like more time generally and like more resources to raise your animal well, and like also like kind of made you feel like the only way you could succeed in that program was like if you were like well off, but like at the same time like our advisors in our chapter made us not feel that way, so that was really good.
Thanks for adding that. Yeah, that seems really problematic.